Having absolutely none of it, shows the outside and will hold on to P2 from moving rider Jake the Lad, holds P4 in front of Beaton. JK has got in front of Dino and has made up a position over Dan 94, who's gone back with Simon Levac the Dutchie making ground 2, as well as his Welsh sponge Dan 94 going back to P11, now having to go defensive from Shane Boland, who's going clean around the outside of turn 5. Going to get a good drive, trying to scare the Mercedes offline to the inside of 6 and 7. Shane Boland down 94, battling away for P11 on the edge of the points, and it looks like Shane Boland's just about going to hang on to that one at the moment, further back. Cam McKenzie made a good start, up from, and into the wall goes the Dutchie, out of turn 8. He makes another place up on the Williams of Limsky up the inside of turn 12 if he can get it slowed down on the brakes. Cam McKenzie up to P14 from P17 on the grid, but out in front it's Adams leading the way from Phoenix Grey. Movement rider Jake the Lad and Beaton going to swap positions on the run down the strip. In the background you've got many cars fighting happening. Let's go and have a look at what's going on. Welsh Sponge, Simon Levac very close to each other, Shane Boland, Ortron, Dan 94 all very close to each other as they hit the brakes. Shane Boland's leading the way, Ortron's trying to go up the inside of Dan 94. There might have been a little bit of contact. That's Dan 94 going into the wall, and through goes Ale. He's up to P11 already. He's had a flying start from the back of the grid, but up in front movement rider and Beaton going wheel to wheel. McLaren versus Red Bull. Up the inside goes Beaton at turn 1. Now he's got the outside of 3 and 4. He's going to get the better run, can hang it around the outside, maybe with a help with straight line speed down toward turn 5. Can't quite hang on to it. Dan 94 in the pits retires from the session, but Adams leads the way from Phoenix Grey. Movement rider, and up the inside comes Jake the Lad now. That's very close to the wall there from Beaton, and Jake the Lad retaking P4, so the top 5 as they were. But here comes now JK looking to get involved, the ever opportunistic last lap bandit, trying to make his way through on the Red Bull, couldn't find anything done. Welsh Sponge has got ahead of Dino though for P7. Simon Levac sitting at the end of this 9-car train in P9. Shane Boland then leading Ale for P10. Ortron just in front of Cam McKenzie, who did dispatch Limsky in the end. Ortron looks like he's left the session temporarily. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin in a few moments time. But as we head down the strip for the second straight with DRS, Adams going to be under fire here from Phoenix Grey. Movement riders very much under fire from the kick Sauber of Jake the Lad. Flying down the strip, Jake the Lad up to P3 as it stands, as they head into 14, 15 and 16. They will make it through cleanly. I say that as movement rider gets it wrong. We can't see, has done a spin on the exit of 15 into 16, has overcooked the tyres, and he's now close to the barrier, gets back underway, but currently splitting the Williams in P14-15. Ortron does indeed rejoin the session, but he's already lost out to Cam McKenzie. So Cam McKenzie up to P11, Ale in P10, challenging now Shane Boland for P9, and it's an 8-car battle for the lead at the moment, with Adams leading the way from Phoenix Grey, who's got Jake the Lad right up the Red Bull's hot end. As Limsky gets in front of Ortron, Shane Boland's lost out to Ale. That is now for P9, as these two tried to catch onto the back of the leaders. Movement rider dispatching of one Ferrari already. Now trying to get one Williams already. The Williams of Tasmania on that set of hards. No match for movement rider, back up to P14 goes the McLaren driver. But once more into turn 12 we go, and that means that the strip looms ever large. There's the Palazzo. Adams leading the way from Phoenix Grey. Jake the Lad is very quick in a straight line. Now we're going to see another move, but Beaton's just behind. So can Beaton try and get involved and disrupt the plans of the kick Sauber as they head down the straight? Phoenix Grey though is gaining, and will be taking the lead away from Adams. But here comes Jake the Lad up the inside, looking to get involved. Too far back to go for a move on this occasion. Phoenix Grey leads us as we head down to end lap 3 of 25, and now Beaton sitting up behind the kick Sauber. Ortron, Cam McKenzie swapping positions. That is for P11, and Ortron has won that battle out as here comes Limsky, although Cam McKenzie has had a great drive through turn 16. He's got the inside at 17. Not that this corner really exists for these cars, and Cam McKenzie will hold on to P11 for the moment as Tasmania got back in front of the movement rider with help of DRS down the strip a few moments ago. Phoenix Grey still leading the way in front of Adams. Welsh Sponge has gone up the inside of JK. That's for P5 now. Welsh Sponge making good ground from P10 to P11 to P5 so far. Up at the front of the field, Phoenix Grey leading us down by the Phoenician through turns 10 and 11 down toward turn 12, and the front 6 cars breaking away a little bit. Dino falling into the traps, into the clutches of Simon Levac, still inside a second there just about, but 1.3 between Dino and the front 6 cars, so some gaps beginning to form. Beaton's got in front of Jake the Lad, Adams has got in front of Phoenix Grey. That's not the end of the overtaking, it's here comes Beaton and Jake the Lad now on the leader, on the former leader who did lead us onto the straight. Phoenix Grey has gone from 1st to 4th and Beaton takes the lead, so one Red Bull loses the lead to the other, and the McLaren and the Kick Sauber stay pretty much exactly where they were in regards. They've just had the Red Bull swap positions around them, although Jake the Lad doesn't want to stay behind the McLaren for too much longer. Looking up the inside at turn 1, doesn't go for it. Jonathan Coran though does go for the move on Welsh Sponge. He's up into P5 now, but has fallen outside that magical 1 second window off the leading 4 cars, and so this battle will carry on. Welsh Sponge trying to go to the inside. JK had it covered, so Welsh Sponge going to have to go the long way round on the brakes in turn 5, gets the job done. Welsh Sponge back up into P5 and trying to get back inside that 1 second window of the leaders. Cam McKenzie still battling against Ortron, but here comes Movement Rider now on his recovery drive. He's up to P12 already, stuck behind the Mercedes car that's formed a little bit of a bottleneck there as the McLaren are going up the inside into turn 7. That's a fantastic move on the brakes. Cam McKenzie getting scared off the racing line and almost loses it under traction into the wall. Cam McKenzie back down to P12, now P13 as Ortron gets a great drive out of 9. And Ortron gets up to P12, but the leaders have made it once more onto the strip, and Adams is right in the real tracks of Beaton. Jake the Lad's only just in front of Phoenix Grey, so we could be seeing another change for the leaders. Through goes the McLaren driver. Adams will take the lead back on lap 5. In the background, Simon Levac's gaining on Dino. JK and Welsh Sponge are still battling. JK though going to hold station for the moment. Simon Levac though doesn't hold position on Dino, and he takes P7 away from the Aston Martin car. Ortron and Cam McKenzie swapping places. JK and Welsh Sponge, that hold didn't last very long. JK got up to P5. One Aston Martin gains a position, the other loses one. Cam McKenzie and Ortron still battling away for P12, just off the back of Movement Rider. But that queue is now 5 seconds off the points and Shane Boland. As Jake the Lad shapes a move on Beaton in towards turn 5. Nothing coming there, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. That is for Movement Rider on his recovery drive, who'd been doing so well but has had a spin somewhere around turn 2 and turn 3. Looks like there's been some damage and he's broken off that front wing, but bad news there for the McLaren car. So one McLaren heads the field, the other one brings up the tail, as Adams now through turns 10 and 11 into turn 12. Such an important corner, as it really does denote how much time you lose down this straight, and hopefully Beaton will have minimised that against those behind. 1.4 seconds covers the top 4, as once more we head down the strip. Phoenix Grey looking racy on the back of Jake the Lad. Beaton already in front of Adams. In fact, Phoenix Grey could be going for the double overtake here. He's gaining, he's not gaining enough. Jake the Lad had a defensive look up the inside from a long way back. That would have been one fantastic move had he got it stopped in time. Welsh Sponge back in front of JK in that duel for P5. Simon Levac holds off Dino. And Lele breaking away a bit now in front of Shane Boland. Ortron, Cam McKenzie still battling on. JK and Welsh Sponge swapping positions once more. JK down the pit straight, gets back up.
you take your game to the next level? No problem. How good can they really
Are we really that comfortable?
Welcome to the team, my guy.
Any more questions?
Win that race. That was a fantastic drive from the Australian that day. Another fantastic drive from a fantastic Australian in a Red Bull around this track. So there you go. That looks like a bit of a theme beginning to form from the stories that I have around this track. Is you need to be quick, you need to be Australian, and you need to be in a Red Bull. As LA rounding now turns 12 through the almost never-ending turn 13, the bank turn 13. And there you go, there is Shanghai in the background. As you get to see LA run at full tilt back up toward the hairpin and the grandstand. Only a couple more corners to go, and then this RB will be taking on the first flying lap of the day around this track. And here we go, LA flicks it through 16, plants the throttle, opens the DRS, and LA gets us underway in the qualifying session. Thankfully the traffic coming out the pit lane safely out of his way by the time he flicks it in to turn 1. Turn 2 just tightens off 1, and turn 3 downhill switchback. So important to get the traction right, because it sets you up through this little jink of 4 on the run up and over the crest at 5. Through the first sector split, LA 24.6. Then into the turn 6 hairpin. The next car behind is Movement Rider in the McLaren. 24.6 was the time from LA, 24.1 coming in from Movement Rider. So the McLaren looking dialed in at the moment here. LA now through the long turns 7, 8, 9 and 10 comes at you on the exit at 9, and then it's the run down toward the middle sector split, 53.008 for LA before going into 12 and 13. Wes H joining the session. Movement Rider about to come up to the middle sector split now, 53.0 to beat, 51.8 from Movement Rider. So Movement Rider looking dialed in that McLaren. It's now we watch LA down the back straight, keeping it floored there. In the background you see Movement Rider getting a slipstream off the Haas there of, I believe that is Shane Boland. Indeed it is. Smalley the only car in the pit lane. LA though rounding turn 16 to end the lap, trying not to take too much curve. LA to the line, 134.442. That is a Ferrari returning to pit lane. I believe that is Simon Levac. Indeed it is. It's the only Ferrari in the session today. Movement Rider to the line, 32.253, goes to provisional pole, only to be beaten straight away by Welsh Sponge by 0.4 of a second in the Mercedes. The Haas of Shane Boland just starting a flying lap as it goes past Welsh Sponge. Jake the Lad just starting a flying lap now. Teammate Damir, the car behind, also starting a flying lap. So now eyes turn to Jaco and the cars down the back straight. And N7 Racer is the only one of them on the back straight at the moment. That him and Adams are the only two cars on a flying lap coming to the end of the lap, as Phoenix Grey just starting the back straight now. N7 Racer in the Alpine rounding the final couple of corners, not looking a particularly fast lap here from N7. Potentially a second warm-up lap needed for those medium compound tyres on that Alpine. Adams to the line, 33.4, just behind his teammate Phoenix Grey. To cross the line now, to take the position that we expect him to come in. We've expected him in for so much of the season. 31.5 goes to provisional pole. A solid 3/10 clear of Welsh Sponge in the Mercedes. And now there is a train down the back straight of various cars on various states in a lap, and Jake the Lad is the first of them that will take the take the start finish line to end the lap in a couple of moments time. Jake the Lad rounds turn 16, floors the throttle through the bridge. Jake the Lad to the line, 131.7, goes to P2, drops Welsh Sponge down a spot. Shane Boland put in a slow lap time of representative of a second warm-up lap. Damir splitting the McLarens on a 33.0. JK getting in a 32.3, just 0.05 of a second off the back of Moomin Rider. So that actually wasn't a particularly clean lap from Adams, who has gone again through the middle sector. Is currently 0.3 up on his previous personal best. N7 Racer also going quicker in the Alpine. So the next couple of cars rounding the final corners now. Daddy Cool to the line in the Alpine, 33.8 goes to P8 before N7 Racer 32.7 goes up to P6. Adams to the line now, splitting JK and N7 on the 32.3. Back up into P6 for the McLaren. Cam Mackenzie now coming up to the line. 105.0 through the middle sector. Not particularly quick from Cam Mackenzie, so Cam looking to go bang bang as it were and go for a second flying lap. Shane Boland on a new flying lap. Smalley's out on track. Simon LeFax just joined us out on track for the second time, and Dino is on an out lap too. So it's just Wes H, who's just returned to the pits actually, that is yet to attempt to start a flying lap. There's Shane Boland around turn 15, that little jink on the exit of the hairpin. Returning to pit lane is Shane Boland, not wanting to complete the lap. So Shane Boland backing out of the second lap on his first flying run. Smalley now coming to the line, has a McLaren behind. That was the McLaren of Moomin Rider that improved by 3.5 tenths of a second, but couldn't quite do enough to dislodge Welsh Sponge out of the provisional top 3 spot that the leading Mercedes finds itself in at the moment. N7 Racer rounds the final corner now, on the run to the line to not improve on his previous best. Cam Mackenzie though is on a lap, but has just had a wobble there coming out of the hairpin by the looks of it. So maybe Cam Mackenzie not feeling particularly dialed in that Mercedes at the moment. Cam to the line, gets the banker lap in. It's a 32.8. I would be surprised if Cam can't find any more time there in that Mercedes tonight. Dino on a flying lap, coming to the end of one actually in the Aston Martin. Rounding turn 16 now, not that long, just over 3 minutes left in the session. Dino to the line, goes up to P5, 0.03 of a second in front of JK. So the two Aston Martins split the two McLarens. Simon LeFax starting a lap in the Ferrari. Rounding turn 4. There's Shane Boland parked, interestingly, out of the way in the Haas. Trying to stay out of the way. Shane needs to get a move on there to prevent himself getting disqualified. There you go, does get on with it. Simon LeFax, 24.4 through the first sector. Will follow the Ferrari all the way through the lap, I reckon. Simon LeFac now around turn 10, back toward the grandstands of turns 12 and 13. The Aston Martin behind is the Aston Martin of Dino that has just finished a flying lap, so Simon doesn't need to particularly worry about giving away a slipstream down this long back straight. So I believe now time has come and gone that if you are not on track, you will not get round to set one more flying lap. His N7 Racer returns to the pit lane. Moomin Rider retires from the session. Welsh Sponge also in the pits for Mercedes. So too, I believe, Cam Mackenzie retiring. So Cam does not improve on that 32.8. Simon LeFac though, 33.8, goes to P12. Everyone else, with the exception of N7 Racer, Dino and Welsh Sponge, has gone out on track, but I don't think he'll get round in time. Phoenix Grey though is starting a flying lap. 70 seconds left on the clock, so no indeed. Welsh Sponge is just out on track to dial in that Mercedes. Jake the lad is on an out lap. Dame has just started a flying lap, but it'll be Phoenix Grey will be the first car to take the checkered flag in a couple of moments time. Phoenix Grey through the first sector split, improving by 1/10.5. Damir, the next car to that first sector split, improves by 0.3 of a second on his previous personal best. Smalley currently on an abandoned lap. Shane Boland through the first sector split, improving by 0.1 spinning out of turn 6, however, is Shane. Jake the Lad improves by 0.188 of a second. Phoenix Grey going faster though, 0.4 of a second improvement through the middle sector. That Red Bull is just so planted under the hands of the Flying Scotsman. And now down the back straight, there's a Mercedes up in front of Welsh Sponge. Phoenix Grey will be feeling the benefit a little bit from a toe on the run down toward the hairpin, as Phoenix Grey now hard onto the brakes. Gets that Red Bull slowed down. The checkered flag has fallen. So Phoenix Grey, the first car to take the checkered flag, rounds the final corner. Plants the throttle. Phoenix Grey to the line. Improves by 0.4 of a second to a 31.0. What now can Wes H do? And the rest of the field, 31.6 for Wes H, goes straight away to P2. Damir to the line. Improves to a 31.9, goes up to P6. Jake the Lad has only got a couple of corners left to go on his flying lap. Can he find the 0.7 of a second to dislodge Phoenix Grey? Jake to the line, can and does by a matter of 0.1. Jake the Lad takes pole position away from Phoenix Grey. Who else is on a lap that could disrupt that lap time? JK's going quickly through the middle sector. Can JK pull it out here? Adams goes to a 31.7, goes up to P4. JK goes to P3 on a 31.5. Couldn't get closer than that, and that brings an end to qualifying as Alea takes the line. Jake the Lad displacing Phoenix Grey on his last lap by 0.1. JK, Wes H and Adams putting lap times in seemingly out of nowhere. And Welsh Sponge unable to get one last flying run in, and Cam Mackenzie potentially sitting on some hidden pace in the Mercedes. So plenty of talking points after the sprint qualifying, with another qualifying session to come, but some racing to come before that. This could get very interesting, with 4 cars separated by just 0.3 of a second, and there being very little between the front two. In fact, I will amend my previous statement: 6 cars separated by 0.4 of a second. This looks like a very interesting day all round. So here we go now, waiting to load into the start of the sprint race. Of course, we will have the obligatory wait, just so that everyone can make sure all the drivers are back to their racing wheels or seats or whatever. Give everyone a chance to, as well, get a drink, sort themselves out. Go time, I'm being told, is in just about 3 minutes, at 26 minutes past the hour. Cam Mackenzie saying that he set a 1:31.0 in the podium division last night. So I was indeed right, that Mercedes does seemingly have at least front row pace, but saying he couldn't get back to the pits as the fuel vanished. Well, I just saw you say that in the Discord channel. Well, thankfully, Cam, it is a sprint race, this one, so not even 1/3 points on offer for winning the race. And you'll get another chance at qualifying to come, so maybe you can get that 1:31 out of you again in about 20-25 minutes time. come the end of the qualifying session. Just a couple of moments now until the scheduled start time. Now, such a long tightening section, that opening first 3 corners really does allow yourself chances to send it almost when, well, maybe one day, if you, after last week's poll, when I start streaming the potential career mode, driver career mode, maybe one day we'll see. But my kind of take into the first couple of corners at China off the start is, well, to not touch the brake, just let off the accelerator and let it coast through and pick your gap. What will we see the like of our drivers do in a few moments time when we get underway, in I make it about 5 seconds or so to scheduled start time. Of course, it being a sprint race, this session will go on a little bit longer than kind of the hour 45 usual. So hopefully now just get underway for the formation lap. Just a couple of moments. Not necessarily sure what the wee hold up is. A small hold up. Moomin Rider, just seen in the Discord channel, momentarily threatening a bulldozer-like experience in toward turn 1. As here we go now for the sprint formation lap. I got momentarily spooked there as it just went very quiet in my earphones. Let's have a look very quickly what tyres everyone is on, and unsurprisingly it is a set of mediums for all 16 cars in today's grid. And from reverse order, lining up on row 8, we've got Shane Boland, who's backing up Alay on row 8. Row 7, we find the Haas of Smalley, the first of the 2 Haas cars in front of Simon Levac, so not a great day for the Ferrari powertrain units. On row 6, Cam McKenzie in the Mercedes, sitting on that extra pace, unable to do a final qualifying lap, finds himself outside of the points in P11, splitting the 2 Alpines, as right behind is Daddy Cool. On row 5, Dino leads in N7 Racer, just outside the points paying positions of a sprint race. These two will be looking to move forward. On row 4, the second of the 2 McLarens and Kix Albus respectively, Moomin Rider and Daymare, both looking to try and hold on and guarantee themselves some points after the 10 laps. Row 3 is the first McLaren of Adams and the first Mercedes of Welsh Sponge. Can these two move their way forward? What can Welsh Sponge do? Didn't get a chance to do a final flying lap. Can he move forward? Row 2, JK, Wes H, 2 cars that set their lap times right at the end of the sprint quali session. What can they do? And up at the front, Jake the Lad, Phoenix Gray, separated by a 1/10.5 in sprint quali, and barely 10 to 15 metres on the grid now as they make their way our cars around turn 16 to line up on the grid. It's the last cars around turn 16 now, and we get that fantastic reverse angle of the grid there away in the distance, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights from 100 metres away, and it's lights out and away we go for the Sprint Grand Prix. And I've got the worst camera angle known to mankind as the cars a long way in front of us make their way around toward turn 1. Jake the Lad swoops into the lead. JK trying to hold on to P3. He's have Wes H to contend with, trying to dance around the outside at 3. Welsh Sponge has jumped Adams for P5. Moving Rider holds off Dino in P7. Cam McKenzie's made a good start, jumping N7 Racer and Damir. He's already up to P9 and looking to hold position as he's trying to get Smalley going around the outside of N7 Racer at turn 6. A very aggressive move there from the Haas car, but he's making up ground and is looking very racy. Damir, bad start from him, already down to P12. Shane Boland making up ground. Daddy Cool has filtered to the back of the field, but up in front, Jake the Lad leading the way from Phoenix Grey as they all come round turn 10 relatively unscathed after the first 2/3 of a lap, and now into turns 12 and 13. This is where we see how good your downforce is versus how good your straight line speed is. Cam McKenzie, N7 Racer, doing a little bit of battling back there, and it's going to be almost 3 wide coming onto the back straight away here for P9. But up in the front, Welsh Sponge has slipstreamed his way past JK. Phoenix Grey is having a quick look at Jake the Lad, too far back to make a go of it. Looked like the McLarens were getting a little bit dicey. Cam McKenzie going to lose out to N7 Racer unless Cam can dance it back around the outside on exit. No, it looks like N7 Racer's made that one stick, so N7 up to P9. Cam McKenzie still making progress on lap 1, but only 1 position instead of 2. Wes H has had an issue and has had a spin coming out of turn 16, like we saw with, I want to say, Carlos Sainz in his years in RB. Cam McKenzie too having an issue at turn number 3. So 2 cars having issues there pretty early on in the Grand Prix. Cam getting back underway though, and still on the back of the chain. The long snake that is still being fronted by Jake the Lad. DRS now enabled. Wes H has retired from the Grand Prix. Let's have a quick look, see if I can find out a reason why that has happened. As Jake mounting turns 9 and 10. Phoenix Grey only best inches in front of Welsh Sponge as they come through turn 10 and on the run down toward turn 11 and 12. All of the top 6 inside DRS range of each other and the leaders. Cam McKenzie already dispatching Daddy Cool. That's for P14, but it has just taken him outside of DRS range of the train he needs to be in to fight to get a point. Meanwhile, down the back straight, Phoenix Grey with the help of DRS on this occasion going up the inside. Again, it stopped on the brakes. Jake the Lad coming for the old switcheroo. Gets it done absolutely beautifully. Jake the Lad holds on to the lead of the Grand Prix. And Phoenix Grey sitting there behind now in P2 has the second chance of DRS. JK Adams sets the fastest lap now. And on the run in toward turn 1, are we going to see a move from anyone in the top 4 who are bumper to bumper? Not on this occasion. Looking further back, N7 Racers got Damir and LA that now the sole RB. Wheel to wheel around the outside goes LA into turn 2 and 3 they come. LA will now have the inside, now have the grippier line, and will now have P9, the 2 Haas cars sitting there in P11 and 12, getting pretty racy with each other. Cam McKenzie needs to stop fighting Daddy Cool and catch up to the back of Simon Levac, who, as I said at the top of the stream, has been a little bit of his rival throughout the season so far. So are we going to see another twist in that particular tale? As we've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and that is for Smalley having an issue somewhere in turn 8. Has got it back underway in that Haas car. Meanwhile, down onto the back straight we go again. Phoenix Grey a little bit closer on this occasion as they come round turn 13, but so too are the cars behind of Welsh Sponge and JK. And now Phoenix Grey gaining. has got Jake the Lad going defensive to the inside. This time he's got the outside line, gets it done on the brakes, but goes wide again. And now once more Jake the Lad has got the inside line and the better traction zone, but Phoenix Grey will have the inside for turn 16, can control where he positions the car. Jake the Lad having absolutely none of it, dances around the outside and retakes the lead, and neither car has DRS, and so now Welsh Sponge and JK force their way past Phoenix Grey, and Phoenix going from offense to defense and losing in the defensive battle 2 positions. Some fantastic racing happening here across the top 4. Shane Boland has retired from the race. Simon Levack's had an issue. He's now down to P14 behind Cam McKenzie. So I reckon maybe Shane Boland and Simon Levack had a coming together, and that is what caused Shane to DNF. I'd love to find out something a bit more concrete on that as we follow Jake the Lad through the middle sector. This time he now has Welsh Sponge and JK behind, not the Flying Scotsman. He has the Welsh Dragon sitting behind him in P2. As once more through turns 12 and 13 they come, and it's actually JK that's looking the raciest of the top 4 here so far as they round the banked exit and onto the back straight. Welsh Sponge though dancing past with the help of DRS Jake the Lad. JK just a little bit too far back, doesn't want to go for it, so Welsh Sponge now into the lead of the Grand Prix. LA has just got ahead of Dino there. Daddy Cool has lost a lot of time and has lost and has made a mistake somewhere in the last sector of the track, as he's now down to P14, to 8.5 off the back of Simon Levack. Meanwhile, the leaders through turns 1, 2, 3. Welsh Sponge has been spooked offline there by Jake the Lad, and so Jake can now dance back up the inside. And can JK try and have a go against Welsh Sponge in the Aston Martin versus Mercedes? Welsh Sponge with too good a drive out of turn number 3, but now on to the run down toward turn 6. That would be a very thin gap for the Aston to try and get past the inside of the Mercedes, and he was too far back on this occasion to really have a crack. But there you go, the great opportunistic driving of JK being shown on full display there once more. As we follow Phoenix Grey through turns 9 and 10, just sitting and waiting in almost the prime position for any of the 3 in front to trip over, and the 2 McLaren sitting there just a little bit further back off the Red Bull. It doesn't take much for a race to go badly, and it doesn't take much then for that positions 4, 5 and 6 to become a podium. As here we go now once more onto the back straightaway, and in the background there's another battle happening there for P7. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead goes on, and Welsh Sponge dancing, trying to find his way past, can't get anything done. LA holding off Dino, N7 Racer and Damir, 5.5 seconds back as this man here, Cam McKenzie, on his recovery drive is bringing Smalley along for good measure. Only 1.4 off the back of the Mercedes. It's the Haas car, but down the main straight we come again, and JK looking to the left and looking to the right of the Mercedes and Welsh Sponge can't find a way through in toward turn 1. But just like we saw Jake the Lad do, we know that Welsh Sponge can be spooked a little bit offline. Can JK force the issue like that? Daddy Cool spinning out of turn 15, causing a yellow flag. That will be clear, I'm sure, by the time that this rabble get their way back toward that part of the track. Is JK looking the raciest of anyone so far in this mid sprint stage, seemingly looking after those medium tyres well enough that they are providing full traction as and when he needs it. Just can't quite find the opening to dispatch the Mercedes in front. As once more we see another lock up there from Jake the Lad. We've seen quite a few of those so far on this lap already. As they round turn 13 once more, Jake the Lad will lead us onto the back straight, and I don't think he'll be able to hold on to the lead for too long on this time, as here now comes Welsh Sponge and JK, who could be losing 2 positions here. Jake the Lad, as indeed JK going to try and dance it around the outside. We know Jake the Lad's good under traction, but we know just how racy JK's been. But no, JK couldn't get the drive he needed out of the last corner. Welsh Sponge, it goes very wide. And now onto the back straight, or the main straight I should say. Jake the Lad retakes the lead. JK I thought was going to have a look at the inside from P2. Thought better of it. We're on lap 7 of 10 here in the sprint. Still no news yet from Wes H as to what exactly happened with his retirement. As N7 Racers just got in front of Dino. That is for P8 and the last of the points paying positions in the sprint. LA running away a little bit from the that battle now for P8. Won the opening race of the season, of course, did LA. Then took a couple of weeks out and hasn't really been the same since. So maybe the Christmas break could prove fruitful for the RB car and the RB driver. As once more through turns 12 and 13, the leaders come. Jake the Lad, can he hold off? Still in front of those behind. Phoenix Grey dropping a little bit off the back of JK. Not enough to fall out of DRS range, but definitely a little gap forming there as 6 cars separated by barely 3 seconds. Head down toward turn 14. Welsh Sponge is going up the inside on the brakes. Hits the apex. There might have been a little bit of contact. There was. Both cars have spun out wide. In a pitting manoeuvre by as Welsh Sponge understeered out wide from corner exit. LA is going to pick up one free position here. Might get the second down the main straight. I say that as he picks up a 3-second time penalty for track extending. So it's JK now into the lead of the race. I said that just how easily it could go wrong, and it has gone wrong for Jake the Lad and Welsh Sponge. So now JK is fending off Phoenix Grey and the 2 McLarens for the sprint race win. This has just got very exciting indeed. It was always exciting with 6 cars battling as closely as they were, but this has just got very spectacular. As now on the run out of turn 6 toward turn 7 and 8, Phoenix Grey has got to stay with the Aston Martin here. Welsh Sponge 2.8 off the back of the leading quartet now. Would do very well to get back inside DRS range to have a crack at those 4. You know, Phoenix Grey 8 tenths of a second off the back of JK would need a long bomb move into turn 14 to try and get the overtake for the lead as they round turn 13 once more. Daddy Cool retires from the sprint. And now down the back straight, Phoenix Grey, DRS wide open. That gap coming down all the while. And onto the brakes, Phoenix Grey gaining about 4 tenths of a second there. Jake the Lad getting past LA. That is for P6. The kick Sauber ready to do battle once more with the Mercedes of Welsh Sponge in front. But can Phoenix Grey find the gap, find the time he needs to have a crack at JK for the win? The ultimate opportunist is Jonathan Corin, and he's driven like one today. Racy when he needed to be, smart when he needed to be, and lucky when he needed to be. As Welsh Sponge and Jake the Lad, their battle resumes, but this time it's for P5 and not P1 as they head through turn 5 down toward turn 6. Jake the Lad looking up the inside, doesn't go for the move. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Phoenix Grey is definitely much closer this lap around than he was to JK. 2 tenths by the looks of it closer. The gap at 6 tenths of a second, so this might play into Phoenix Grey's advantage here. He doesn't want to necessarily take the lead on this lap, on this opportunity. He might want to do it right at the end as Phoenix Grey now around turn 13. And you see JK trying to break the slipstream very early there, diving away down the banking, now down the long back straight. Is Phoenix Grey going to go for it? He's pulled to the outside very early there. He's going to have a look at least around the outside on the brakes. JK covers the apex beautifully. Phoenix gets a little bit twitchy but keeps on to P2 as through turn 16 they come once more. Now he'll get another bite of the cherry with the help of DRS down the main straight. Adams is right there as well. This is now a 3-car battle for the win. His movement rider's fallen away a little bit. Phoenix Grey had a quick look to the inside onto the last lap. Doesn't do anything for it. Dino gets a 3-second time penalty for track extending. Cam McKenzie only 3.5 up the road. Can Cam finish in the top 10 after all? Meanwhile, the 3 leaders only have 2 sectors of this racetrack to go. Through turn 6 they come, so only 10 corners now to go. And JK holding on to the lead. How much battery has he got left in the tank to defend down that main straight toward turn 14? And don't forget that it is an overtaking zone, is turn 16 if you get a good enough run out the hairpin. So this could go right up to the line, and away goes Adams there, spinning off to the inside at turn 10, gets it back underway, but he has definitely lost their P4. Will slot in behind Jake the lad. Welsh Sponge is going to go for the move. No contact there as they all make it safely through, but Adams now in prime position to retake P4. So now this is just a straight duel between Phoenix Grey and JK. Down the back straight they come. Phoenix Grey gaining, looking to the outside now. DRS wide open, is in front by the time they hit the brakes. In the background, Adams does get back in front of Jake the lad and gets it slowed down on the brakes, or does he? No, he goes deep and he allows both cars through. But round turn 16 comes Phoenix Grey. He left it to the last overtaking opportunity. Phoenix Grey wins the sprint race. Movement Rider will come home P3. Jake the lad P4. Welsh Sponge. Adams P6. Alele will come home for P7, and Damir will hold on to the points for P8 just about. Cam McKenzie won't quite get inside the penalty count of Dino, so he will finish P11. Fantastic drama all the way to the end there. Adams will be ruining that mistake out of turn 10. JK will be wishing he had just a little bit more battery. And I am wishing now that this will carry on all the way through the Grand Prix to come. Ale gets the driver of the day for the sprint. There is the final classifications. Phoenix Grey wins by 0.171 from JK. Movement Rider very, very solid P3. Jake the lad ruining what could have been that little contact with Welsh Sponge. Adams ruining a mistake all of his own making that did cost him a podium there. So 3 cars in the top 6 will be happy with their result from the sprint. 3 cars will be kicking themselves a little bit for being potentially overly aggressive, overly ambitious. Now we'll have an 18-minute qualifying session to set the grid for the main race, and they get to do it all again, but this time the stakes are much, much higher. As qualifying is underway, we do have a green flag at the end of the pit lane. Just no one yet straight away jumping to get us going. As Beaton now into the session in the Red Bulls, so we'll now have both Red Bulls racing with us today. But it's Simon Levac in the Ferrari. That is the first car out on track. As he makes his way through the snaily turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. Cam McKenzie saying that he got smashed to pieces through the sprint race there. As we follow Simon Levac through his warm-up lap, we also have, joining us out on track, Phoenix Grey is following Welsh Sponge out The two McLarens are following out, JK as well, and Dino out on track as well, and now beaten too. So a good little squadron of cars making their way on track, but it is Simon Levac all on his own at the moment. Has that full, I want to say, kilometre long back straight to himself. But now he rounds turn 16, heads back toward the pit building, opens up the DRS, and Simon Levac starts his first flying lap of the day. His first flying lap of the true qualifying session, and that's not the way he'd have wanted to start it. Again, a little bit loose through turn 1, and Simon Levac then, I presume, will take a second warm-up lap, and almost an enforced second warm-up lap. So it'll now be eyes turning to Phoenix Grey and Welsh Sponge to be the first two cars to set truly representative lap times as they dance their way up the hill through turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's JK now starting a flying lap. He'll have the two McLarens for company, just like he did in the sprint race. So too did he have company with these two. As Phoenix Grey through turns 7 and 8 he comes. Now in toward turn 9 and 10. Also, very quickly, because I don't think I mentioned earlier, little shout out to Damir, who I believe has been away for the last couple of weeks, rejoining us today for the last stream before Christmas. It's Phoenix Grey through the turns 12 and 13. Now onto the back straight. Goes still to 978, leaving the session. Had joined momentarily. Simon Levac goes purple on that 33-2, but we know that that car had a bit of an escapade just at this section here, getting a little bit loose through turns 1 and 2. So Simon has a bit more pace to find in that Ferrari, but it's a solid banker lap. Meanwhile, Phoenix Grey, his banker lap consists of being on medium, so too does the lap of Welsh Sponge. Phoenix Grey rounds final corner to the line, 31.8, straight away beaten by Welsh Sponge by half a second, 31.3. Ghost Delta rejoining the session, and JK coming to the end of a lap now, also on a set of mediums. JK to the line, 131.8. Pretty much matches Phoenix Grey, but in fact it's a little bit faster. Movement Rider 132.226 on a set of mediums. Adams 32.0 on a set of softs. So the first car of the Fast 6 setting a lap time on softs, but Adams not showing there his true pace that we've seen at points before. Beaten in the Red Bull on a set of softs, 131.7, goes up toward P2. Dino gets a lap time of a 32.074, 0.02 of a second faster than Adams to go P5, also on a set of softs. Shane Boland 32.3 goes to P8. Simon Levac returns to pits. He is the slowest yet of anyone so far. I say that as N7 Racer sets a 38.5, but we know that N7 likes to go for 2 warm-up laps at a time. Cam McKenzie 132.2 to go P8. Daddy Cool 33.9 in P11. Damir on an invalidated lap time at the moment. Jake the Lad though rounds turn 16, doesn't get himself invalidated there. Jake the Lad to the line, 131.6 for our sprint race pole sitter to take P2 on the set of mediums. Smalley just has one corner to go, and then it's just the 2 RBs that we're yet to see out on track. Smalley to the line for a 33.3, going to P12 there. Yes, neither RB have made their way out onto track in the first 6 minutes 20 seconds of kind of the main race qualifying. Moomin Rider is going for a second lap. And we will indeed follow Moomin Rider's lap for the moment, as he makes his way up and over the crest at turn 5. Simon Levac back out on track. Moomin Rider not finding any time through the first sector. The Alpine Alpha N7 racer also on a lap at the moment. Correction, just finishing a lap. Good enough for P11 at 32.4. Yellow flag in sector 2 for Smalley, getting it, I believe, potentially running out of fuel. Moomin Rider's just gone through the middle sector split and has found the most of the 10th of the second that he had lost in the first sector. Now might get a little bit of a slipstream off the back of the Haas there of Smalley. As he makes his way down the long back straight toward the hairpin at turn 14. Who else is on a lap? No one at the moment, but Welsh Sponge has joined us back out on track, and now so too has one of the Red Bulls of Beaton. In fact, Moomin Rider to the line improves by a quarter of a second to a 31.9 and jumps Dino then for P6. I say that as Adams rolls down pit lane. There you see the McLaren joining the racing surface. He's being followed out by Phoenix Grey. So here we go. The second round of runs are on, and once more it's being led by Simon Levac as Moomin Rider is on that same first run that he started on. We know that Moomin Rider likes to do a couple of laps in a run. Simon Levac though through the first sector split. There you see just how much time he lost in that slide at the start of his first lap. 1.4 seconds found for Simon so far. This could see him onto a 1:31.8 if he was able to keep this pace through the rest of the lap. That would be a mighty impressive lap time from the Ferrari car as he goes through turns 9 and 10 now. Simon Levac 1.6 seconds improvement in fact as he heads into 11, 12 and 13. This is just getting faster and faster here from Simon Levac. Are we going to see a new challenger for the front row of the grid as Simon now down the back straight, picking up a bit of a slipstream from the McLaren in front. Moomin Rider heads back to the pits. So Simon Levac hard onto the brakes through turns 14 and 15. A little bit more of a slipstream on the way up to the line here for the Ferrari car. Flicks it through turn 16. Opens up the DRS. Simon Levac to the line. Where's it going to be? It's a 31.9. Lost about 2.5 tenths of a second in the last sector. Simon Levac, though, goes up to P6 with a very respectable 1:31.9. Welsh Sponge to head towards completion of a lap. Has found time through the middle sector. This to improve on his lap that currently sees him in provisional pole. Welsh Sponge now only with one corner to go. Goes to the line. Welsh Sponge improves, but only by 28 thousandths of a second, so loses a tenth of a second in that final sector. That seems to be where the drivers are struggling a bit so far. We saw it with Simon Levac a moment ago. We see it again with Welsh Sponge. Ghost Delta has jumped into the second Ferrari and has joined us out on track. 7 minutes left on the clock. Beaton now through the last corner. Beaton to the line. Can he improve? Yes, he can, to a P2, a 1:31.5. As I say, P2 onto the front row of the grid. Wes H and Alele are both out on track as well. Wes H is on an out lap, Alele on a push lap. I want to see though what is going on in the world of Adams. Adams is one corner away from finishing his second flying lap, looking to improve on a 32.0. Adams to the line, 1:31.55. 4/400ths of a second slower than Beaton. Season in P3 for the moment. Let's go to Ghost Delta there. Going to start his flying lap with the benefit of slipstream from one of the Alpines as Cam Mackenzie makes it a Mercedes 1-2. Cam improving there to a 1:31.500 exactly. Daddy Cool improves to a 32.8 at the back end of the timing sheets to get up to P14. So there you go, a glimmer of Cam's kind of true pace. Welsh Sponge going for a second lap. We've just got just under 6 minutes to go. Smalley starting a flying lap. JK coming to the end of a flying lap on an invalidated lap. It was a 32.2. It was no improvement. He backs out of it. Adams, Moomin Rider is starting a flying lap now on a set of softs. What though is Phoenix Grey doing? Phoenix Grey is heading back to the pits for Red Bull with 5.5 minutes to go, not wanting to complete that lap time. So the next car to cross the line will indeed be Wes H, with just one corner to go through a lap time that got him into the fast 6 at the back end of the sprint race. Sees him to a 1:31.976, 7 thousandths of a second slower than Moomin Rider. Sees him in P10 for the moment. Adams has just headed back into the pits. Damir and Ghost Delta both on flying laps. Smalley too as well is on a flying lap, but Damir and Ghost Delta yet to set their first lap times of the session. Damir around the final corner in the Kick Sauber, got it up into the top 10 in the sprint quali. Can't do the same yet at the moment. 32.4. Ghost Delta in the second Ferrari. His teammate sits on a 31.9. Ghost Delta 33.8, slowest yet of anyone so far. Smalley currently on a push lap. Found some time through the middle sector. Would love to get into the 32s here. Smalley to the line. Can't quite get into the 32s. 33.005. Moomin Rider is the next car coming to the line in the McLaren. Has been looking very good all through the weekend so far. Continues to look good as he splits the Mercedes at his 8 thousandths of a second currently off provisional pole. A 1:31.333 finds Moomin Rider in P2. Beaten back out on track, just under 4 minutes to go. Who else is on track? Who else is on a lap? Wes H is out on track on an in lap. Damir out on track. Can't quite tell if this is a racing lap or not. No, I think this is a slow lap here from Damir. So Shane Bolan though has just started a flying lap. So too has Dino behind. So Shane Bolan in the Haas car looking to improve on a 32.3. Needs about 0.4 of a second to get himself into the top 10. Shane Bolan through the first sector, improving by 0.2 of a second. Dino doesn't give us a split time for, annoyingly. Meanwhile, Shane Bolan through the gloriously designed turns 7, 8 and 9. Beaten starting a flying lap now. His teammate Phoenix Grey back out on track. Phoenix currently lying in P8. Shane Bolan improving by 0.3 of a second so far on his previous personal best. What can the Red Bull of Phoenix Grey do from what he would consider to be a rather lowly position there in P8 at the moment? Shane Bolan down the long back straight, picking up a little bit of a slipstream off Phoenix Grey, in fact, as he blasts his way down toward turn 14. Beaten starting that flying lap, as I mentioned a couple of moments ago. Can't see a sector time split on Dino so far. Cam Mackenzie already back out on track, just over 2 minutes to go, so if you're not getting out onto track now, you're not going to get one final lap in. Shane Bolan does get into the top 10 on a 1:31.9, but almost everyone behind him is on a fast lap at the moment. Dino has abandoned this flying lap. What is Ghost Delta doing? Ghost Delta is out on track, I believe, on a new flying lap. What is Beaten doing though in P4 at the moment? Moomin Rider has retired from the session. He is done. He can't improve on the 31.333. He's currently the closest challenger to the two Mercedes at the moment. But Beaten is improving through the middle sector. Only has one more corner to go. Needs to find 0.2 of a second to put the Red Bull onto provisional pole, runs it just about in bounds out of the last corner. Beaten to the line, does find a quarter of a second, goes to provisional pole. Everyone though is on an outlap immediately behind him with the inside the top 10, with the exception of Phoenix Gray and Simon Levac, who are on flying laps at the moment. And Phoenix Gray has found a third of a second and is going to pick up a slipstream here from the traffic jam down the back straight. Simon Levac, purple through the middle sector reported. Shane Boland we've just seen on that in lap. So Phoenix Gray going to be the first car to next take the line of true note. His Red Bull teammate lies provisionally P1. He lies P8, needs 6/10 to find to get him his way up into challenging for provisional pole. Phoenix Gray to the line, cannot improve. Phoenix Gray cannot improve. His qualifying is done. At best he will start P8 unless he has saved up enough battery in that Red Bull to go for a second lap, and that he decided very late to bail on that one. Simon Levac goes to provisional pole at 1:31.2 in the Ferrari. That is monstrously quick. 200ths of a second clear of Beaton. Now who else is looking for revenge? Well, Sponge is improving through the first sector. Is Phoenix Gray going again? We didn't get to see a sector split. Smalley and Shane Boland, the two Haas cars, are out of qualifying. So too are Damir and Moomin Rider. Their sessions are done. But Beaton is going to be the next car to the line on a slow lap. It's then going to be one of the Alpines. It's going to be Daddy Cool on an invalidated lap. Then it will be N7 Racer. So N7, the next car of interest. Beaton, his qualifying's done. So currently it's Simon Levac on provisional pole. N7 Racer with just a corner to go in his qualifying session. N7 Racer to the line. What can he do? Can get a 32.258. Goes up to P14. Next, it's going to be Wes H on a lap. Is not going particularly quickly. So, JK, what can you do in the Aston Martin? You've got the McLaren behind. JK to the line, goes up to P7, only to be beaten by Adams, who somehow splits Simon Levac and Beaton. He's on to P2 at the moment. Welsh Sponge, though, on a flying lap, retakes pole position, is into the 1:30s by 0.4 of a second. He is on pole, only to be beaten by Jake the Lad. I didn't see Jake the Lad on a flying lap. Takes it away by 4/100ths of a second. Jake the Lad from Welsh Sponge. Two cars into the 1:30s. Is anyone left on a lap? No, Ghost Delta has retired. And everyone else has taken the flag, with the exception of Dino, who is headed into the pits. So there we go. Qualifying comes to an end. And some dramatic last second laps coming in there as we wait for the conclusion of the kind of the on track of the in-game session, with Dino just needing to get pushed back into the pits. So you see the final classifications. Phoenix Gray, best lap done on a set of mediums. We know he's got some more pace in that than P10, but he is definitely starting out of position. Looking at the rest of looking down the bottom of the order, there they all are. What can Ghost Delta do? Can he improve on that 33.8 that sees him slowest of anyone at the moment? As here we go now, mate. We just waiting for the announcement of race start time, and then I'm going to take a quick break, just as I quickly need to run to the loo. And then I'll be back in time for the main racer proper in a couple of moments' time, which I am waiting to see what time the announcement comes in. Race start being given at 21:13, so in just about 3.5 minutes time or so. So I'll see you all in a couple of moments. I'll be back in time for the start of the Grand Prix. And it's a welcome back here to the Shanghai International Circuit for this Season 5, Round 7, the Chinese Grand Prix. And we have had some fantastic racing across the sprint and the qualifying sessions so far, but now it's all down to the big one. The one where the full amount of points, 25, are on offer, plus 1 for the fastest lap for a maximum of 26. But of course, you all know that by now. As we wait now for just the last couple of moments for the clock to strike the given race start time by the league admins. Just once more, say hello for those watching along. It is always a pleasure to see and interact. So we'll give it just a few more moments. Oh well, I'd say we'll give it. Not that we have much of a choice watching along on the stream. As we just wait a couple of moments more, given time has come through, so we should be getting underway in a couple of moments' time. There's just a quick discussion as to who actually Ghost Delta is. As he seems to have just rocked up a bit. So just wait for the last couple of moments. Should be going in just a couple of moments' time, as I say. Cam McKenzie, I'm just following along in the Discord channel, and Cam McKenzie trying to incite his rival so far for the champion through his championship, Simon Levac, to hunting down Jake the Lad and Welsh Sponge. As we can have a look now and have a see what tyres everyone are on, and it is row 1 versus the rest of the field, seemingly. Once more from the back of the grid, we go in row 9 this time. Smalley and Ghost Delta, 2 Ferrari powertrain cars at the back. Row 8 we find Damir and Daddy Cool. Row 7 Dino and N7 Racer, the second. So both Alpines being split once more by one singular car. On row 6 we find Shane Bolan and Wes H. Good lap time from Shane Bolan, got himself briefly into the top 10 before Simon Levac and crowd put in some great lap times. On row 5, Jonathan Corrin and the slightly out of place Phoenix Grey, unable to set that fully representative final quali run in at the end there. There you see some possible race strategies powered by the Amazon World Service, predicting pit stops around lap 15. On row 4, LA, Cam McKenzie put in that 131.5, was very happy with it, but still finds himself down in P8. That just gives you the breadth of kind of the scope of just how fast some of these drivers are. On row 3 we find Beaton and Movement Rider. Row 2, Simon Levac, who briefly held pole position in front of Adams and Beaton, only to be taken away by the 2 cars starting on medium compound tyres, Jake the Lad and Welsh Sponge, who were separated by the timing beam by about 4/100ths of a second. So we can now get rid of the tyre data as we line up and wait for the last cars to take their grid spots to get us underway. And we'll watch on board with Jake the Lad for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's go, go, go for the Chinese Grand Prix. And once more the reverse angle, absolutely no help to anyone. And so we wait for the forward facing angle as Jake the Lad swoops around the outside to claim the lead from Welsh Sponge. Simon Levac just about fending off Adams, who's having another crack up the inside of turn 2. Now we'll have to dance around the outside of turn 3. Simon Levac having absolutely none of it. He wants to keep that P3. Beaton, Movement Rider and Adams all very close to each other, but it looks like it will be the McLarens that win out on that battle. Adams up in front, Movement Rider's got past as well, so Beaton losing a little bit of ground. Further back, JK, LA, Cam McKenzie, Phoenix Grey, all doing battle for P7. There's almost 4 cars separated by nothing between them at the moment. And now Phoenix Grey trying to dance around the outside of Cam McKenzie at turn 7. Absolutely nothing going there for the championship leader. Further back, Shane Bolan, Wells H, Dino, Damir, Smalley, Daddy Cool, Ghost Delta, N7 Racer is the order, with N7 losing ground at the start, but at the front, the 2 cars on medium compound tyres running away with it a little bit. Jake the Lad and Welsh Sponge already a second clear of Simon Levac, and we're only 2 sectors into the 28 lap race. And now down the back straight, Movement Rider and Adams in a drag race for McLaren. There you see it with the onboard briefly, and here comes Beaton now past 1, looking to try and side draft past Adams, but will just take 1 McLaren. JK going up the inside of LA. That will be for P7 if that move sticks. And JK now having to dance around the outside at 16. LA having absolutely none of that and holds on to P8 up at the front of the field though. Jake the Lad, Welsh Sponge, a second clear of Simon Lefaki, so 1.3 seconds clear himself of the squabbling McLarens and Red Bull of Adams, Beaton and Moomin Rider. LA, JK, Phoenix Gray, Cam McKenzie all sitting a little further back. Dino's just got ahead of Smalley, that's for P13. Smalley having a good start from P17 to P14. But it is the leaders in control of the race. How long can... I was just going to say, what can Simon Lefak do? But he's carried straight on at turn 7, gone wide, and is now fallen back behind the first car, the first of the cars behind, and that's going to hurt Simon a lot. Actually, that inconsistency was in a great position, trying to fight back Moomin Rider, but he was in P3 in that middle gap between Beaton and the rest as Adams ran out wide through turn 9 and 10. As Beaton slipped through, so now Beaton is up in the front, the two leaders swap positions. We're going to be seeing a lot of DRS swapping from those two down through the race, but it's going to be Beaton and Adams and Moomin Rider. Simon Lefak's drag racing down the straight. Simon Lefak going to claim the inside line into turn 14 this time around, trying to claim the exit too. Simon Lefak there looks like we'll be back up into P5, so that Ferrari showing pace at the moment. JK has got ahead of LA. Phoenix Gray tried the same move, couldn't quite get it done. Slightly further back, Wes H hanging on to the coattails of the point scorers, but Damir and Dino fallen back a little bit from the leaders, and Smalley has dropped behind his teammate already. But the gap at the front is 3.6 seconds, and it's Welsh Sponge in the lead. After Jake the Lad did a 2-lap stint, I get the sense that these two will be, just like in IndyCar, sharing the duties of the lead to preserve their tyres, preserve their fuel, and see just how long they can go and just how much damage they can do to those behind. As the leaders come through turns 11, 12 and 13, and we'll see one more DRS swap for the lead in a second, I am imagining, as in the banking there comes the battle for P3. But yes, once more the leaders do that position swap. We don't even need to see it because we know it's coming. These two work well with each other when they have to. Beaton beginning to drop the train behind. It's already put 0.8 of a second on Adams, who was up, but it's just inside DRS range. JK's sending it up the inside of Moomin Rider at turn 14. That was a statement of intent. JK doesn't want to get caught in this train. He wants to get clear and get clear fast. And I wonder if maybe JK and Simon Lefak can work with each other for a little bit, as they look to be kind of the fastest two at the moment. Now LA drafts past Moomin Rider, back up to P7 goes LA. Moomin Rider losing a couple of places here, and it could get worse for the McLaren driver, as here comes now the hungry Scotsman of Phoenix Gray looking for a move. And Cam McKenzie and Wes H not too far behind either, so Moomin Rider looking a little bit on the back foot at the moment. Needs to just calm down, settle into a rhythm here versus those around him. Daddy Cool making an early pit stop for the Alpine team, going onto a set of medium compound tyres and back out into the Grand Prix. Smalley and N7 Racer swapping positions, and Smalley going backwards here at the moment in the Haas. Looks like he might have a little bit of front wing damage maybe. No, that's just my eyes deceiving me. Meanwhile, the leaders coming through turns 12 and 13. Moomin Rider and LA doing battle though through 11 and 12 and now into 13. And this could be an interesting one, as if they have fallen out of DRS range, this is going to sort that battle out very easily. Up in the foreground there, in the background you see, I should say, Welsh Sponge, Jake the Lad swapping positions once more. Adams has fallen out of DRS range of Beaton, so through comes now Simon Lefak. There in the background, LA, Phoenix Gray, Moomin Rider diving to the inside, trying to reclaim 8th place in front of Phoenix Gray, the championship leader, and he might have just got it done, although Phoenix Gray inside at turn 16, backing out of it. Moomin Rider has to complete the move off track, but Phoenix Gray will have DRS and a good run down the front straight. Movement Rider goes defensive to the inside line. Phoenix Grey cannot dance around the outside line, and so Phoenix Grey has to hold P9 at the moment. Simon Levac and JK did both get past Adams on this lap, and now it's their chance to break into the 1 second window of beaten. And can these guys now form a little squad to try and chase down Welsh Sponge and Jake the Lad, who, despite looking quick, have in the first 3 laps have only put 4/10 on beaten across the last 2.5. So the pace beginning to stabilise a little bit as everyone just calms down and finds their rhythm. Simon Levac 1.2 off the back so far of beaten. Oh, and there again goes Adams. We saw it in the sprint race, slewing away to the right hand side of the track as we look at it off the exit curbing of turn 10, and he's done it again, and he's gone into the barrier on this occasion. I hope he doesn't have too much damage, but this now turns Adams' race into a quite a hefty recovery drive as the leaders make their way into turn 14. JK, Simon Levac swapping positions. JK up to P4 now in the Aston Martin. Did just pick up a 3-second time penalty for track extension. So too now did Jake the Lad. So penalties coming out thick and fast here in Shanghai. Adams currently 1.8 off the back of the train that he was once leading not that long ago. And it will be through this part of the track that not being right up behind the car in front will help him, and he can gain that time down in quick succession. JK 1.1 off the back of beaten, has gained 0.3 of a second through the first sector and a half so far. Does need to get inside that 1 second window. It will just provide them with a chance to try and chase down the leaders, who have now gapped beaten to 4.1. Adams not quite able to get inside DRS range on this lap of the chain in front of him, but it's not far behind as Ghost Delta has a spin through turn 9 and 10. Welsh Sponge retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Let's here come toward us now. That big train, that big point scoring train, but no moves happening there between any of them as they all make it around a turn 14 and on to lap 7, quarter race distance, and that looks a little bit like Simon Levac just got a bit of a wobble on at a turn 16. Little bit of a loose rear end. And just dropped away off the back of JK and fallen into the clutches of LA, who has just begun to find that momentum that he had at the top of the season. Moomin Rider and Phoenix Grey now swapping position, or looking to try and swap positions, is Phoenix Grey. He wants that P7. He wants to get past the McLaren that's dropping away a little bit off the small pack in front of him as they make their way through turn 6. The gap at the front is 4 seconds between the leading pair and the main group. So this race almost turning a little bit into a cycle race at the moment, like a long distance cycle race like the Tour de France. You've got the head of the course, you've got the peloton, then Ghost Delta picks up a 3-second time penalty. The peloton, the main body of riders trying to chase down the tête de la course, the head of the course, the race leaders. JK has just gapped Simon Levac on this lap though, out to a second. So Simon now fallen very much into the clutches of LA, who is gaining a lot. So too Moomin Rider outside a second of LA, but Phoenix not wanting to make that move into turn 14. Let's just have one more look through the field. Phoenix Grey with a good run out of turn 16, and the help of DRS gets past Moomin Rider, and he's up now to P7. Some 2 seconds off the back of LA. But in a little bit of clear air, what can Phoenix Grey do? Although Moonman Rider looking racy, wanted to try and reclaim that position. Can't quite get a move done into turn 6. But I don't think the McLaren will be letting that one go all that easily. There you see the leading pair. Now 3.9 interestingly in front of Beaton. So Beaton is maintaining pace with the leaders despite being on those hard compound tyres. The question will be, how long can Jake and Sponge go on their set of medium tyres? Can they get to lap 12 maybe? Maybe lap 13 or 14 before fitting hards? Let's just save the tyres as much as they can. JK just about a second off the back of Beaton, bringing Simon Levac along with him too now as well. Phoenix Grey gained 0.8 of a second on that lap on LA, but is not quite inside DRS range. Cam McKenzie having to defend against Wes H and Damit and has lost that battle. Cam McKenzie back down to P10, although he will have the benefit of DRS down the main straight, and we've already seen a couple of moves made here today. And now Cam McKenzie pulls out of the draft, dances around the outside. Cam McKenzie back up to P9. Damir follows him through, or at least is looking to. He'll have to go the high and dry way round the outside at turn 1 and 2. Can't get it done. Cam McKenzie up to P9. Wes H holds P10 in front of P11, and Smalley's just picked up 3 seconds of time penalties for track extending. There you see Beaton in P3, 0.9 of a second now in front of JK. So Beaton's been caught by the peloton and the gap is closing down. Phoenix Grey though has just lost the 0.8, 0.9 of a second that he found last lap on LA. Has just lost it on this lap, so maybe having to fight a little bit unnecessarily with Moonman Rider. Meanwhile, through the DRS split they go, and I think JK will indeed have DRS on Beaton as they round turn 13. Beaton just breaking the toe a bit. Jake the Lad retakes the lead from Welsh Sponge. JK did not get DRS on the Red Bull in front, but is very much close enough to be known about. Phoenix Grey holding off Moonman Rider there, 4P7 for the moment. Shane Boland and N7 Racer going at it just a little bit further down the field, P14. Of course, still Pride going on for all these positions. All it takes is a couple of retirees from those in front, and these places can become points very quickly. Adams has caught back onto the train that Cam McKenzie is now heading. That is the battle for P9. And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, and that is for Smalley, who's had an issue in the pits. Flick spins back out underway as he does go to pit lane. So Smalley there having some issues. And now retiring from the session. Not been a great day at the office for Smalley. We'll be looking to do better come the new year in a couple of weeks' time. Meanwhile, Jake the Lad, Welsh Sponge, half a second separates them at the moment. They're 4.1 to the good of Beaton, JK and Simon Levac, who have now fully caught up to the Red Bull. And I wonder if it will be JK's turn to try and lay down the challenge to the leaders at the moment. As JK now with DRS gaining, does indeed get past the Red Bull. So JK up to P3. Simon Levac going deep there at turn 14, gets it back underway, but just maybe went a little long on the brakes, a little bit unintentionally. Phoenix Grey 1.7 now off the back of Lane and gaining, and in the background there, into the wall goes Cam McKenzie. Was there contact there between himself and Wes H? The way it slewed across the track, I'd say potentially. As Cam McKenzie now into the pits. Hopefully this will not be to retire, but with 17, 18 laps to go, I'll be impressed if a set of mediums gets them to the end from here. As on the tyres go, and Cam McKenzie back out into the race. Meanwhile, the lead is just beginning to get caught a little bit by JK Beaton and Simon Levac. Ale currently sitting in a little bit of a no man's land. 2.3 off the 3 in front, 1.6 in front of the 2 behind. Further back then you've got that Wes H train now consisting of himself and Dame here, as Dino's fallen away off the back of it somewhat, and of course Cam McKenzie, who is carrying on a set of mediums, down in P15 looking to undercut there. Beaton gets in front of JK. JK wanting to save P2, and this particular little train holds on to P4 in front of Simon Levac. Dame has got in front of Wes H. Phoenix Grey now beginning to gain some time on Ale. He's just fallen away a bit. Welsh Sponge, Jake the Lad into the box. And Ale picks up a 3-second time penalty. Both of these drivers, I'm sure, would be putting on a set of hards, and indeed it is for the Mercedes of Welsh. And the kick Sauber of Jake the Lad, and it will be as they were. In fact, Welsh Sponge might have got a bit of a better stop there. And Phoenix Grey into the box as well for Red Bull. Back out underway. Let's have a look. He's on a set of mediums, so he'll be going very long on those mediums if he wants to get those to the end. But trying to undercut those he was racing against. But all of this means that JK is now in the lead of the race from Beaton and Simon Levac. Yellow flag in Sector 3, that's for Ghost Delta. Not having a particularly smooth time of it so far. As through the leaders go of turn 13 once more. Onto the back straight. JK having a look to the right hand side, trying to break the toe out a little bit. But at the end of the day, that DRS so strong on the Red Bull that it just gets past Beaton back up into the lead. I say back up into the lead, I believe now he is leading for the first time today. Wes H and Damir swapping positions once more. Wes H there up to P6. Simon Levac gets in front of JK as JK is heading to the pits to cover off Phoenix Grey. And this will be interesting to see. Where does JK come out in relation to the Scotsman in the Red Bull, who is just going through the final corner now? The leaders go past the Aston Martin. A reminder, that gap was about 4 seconds. There is Phoenix Grey. Oh, JK's going to get out of the throttle to let N7 Racer go by. So Phoenix Grey now only 2 seconds off the back of JK, who has lost about 1.5 seconds to Jake the Lad and Welsh Sponge by overcutting that one extra lap in relation to those guys. But JK quickly dispatching of N7 Racer, already back up into P9, 5.3 now off the 2 net leaders of the race. Shane Boland picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's down in P14 for the Haas car. Beaton is going to get overtaken now by Simon Levac, who is also up into the lead of the race for the first time today. So Beaton's stint at the front lasted exactly 1 lap. And it wouldn't surprise me, in fact, if both of these cars head toward pit lane, and indeed they do. So they take it to the pits, and Simon Levac goes deep into the pits and gives away a 3-second time penalty for that track extension. Now this will be interesting. Where are those behind? Phoenix Grey is just going in front of N7 Racer. So Moomin Rider now leads the way. Welsh Sponge, Jake the Lad go through past the 2 in the pits. Simon Levac and Beaton. N7 Racer picks up a 3-second time penalty. Here comes JK and Phoenix Grey. Through goes JK. Here comes Phoenix Grey. Phoenix will get Simon Levac and will slot in just behind his Red Bull teammate of Beaton. So the undercut there working nicely for Phoenix Grey. However, he is on 2 lap older medium compound tyres, and how will they decay come the last couple of laps? Meanwhile, Moomin Rider has been caught by Ale somewhat. Adams quite close to the back of the RB of Wes H as well in his recovery drive. Yeah, is what he needs. So the top 4 all yet to stop, and we're on lap 14 of 28, just about halfway through the Chinese Grand Prix. Season 5, round 7 for MSC F1. Down in toward turn 14 goes Movement Rider and Alea. Movement Rider just about holding that 1 second advantage and carrying on for another lap too. Yeah, so too is Alea and Wes H. Adams though heading to the pits in the McLaren. Needs a good stop here as Jake the Lad goes purple, a 34.0. Goes Delta, another 3 second time penalty for track extending. Beaton has dropped Phoenix Gray by a second on this lap. Cam McKenzie picks up a 3 second time penalty too. And Simon Levac gets in front of Phoenix Gray. Adams came out, there he is. A few seconds back from Damir. What can Adams do? He needs 4.5 seconds to get himself into the points. He's on new medium tyres. There you see the breakdown. He's got good tyre advantage on those in front of him. Yellow flag out in turn 13, and that is for the race leader, who was Movement Rider, is now Alea. So Movement Rider not getting a great run there, as Jake the Lad and Welsh Sponge make their way past Wes H, who's coming back at the 2 here, is the RB. Can't do anything of it. The DRS just so strong there. As Alea carries on for another lap, so too no Movement Rider heads to the pits. Jake Lad, Welsh Sponge carry on. Wes H heads to the pits as well in the RB. Set of medium tyres, new medium tyres go on the McLaren and the RB. And these two giving away so much time by the long overcut, come out behind Adams in P11 and 12 respectively. 1.6, 1.7 off the back then of McLaren teammate is Movement, off his McLaren teammate is Movement Rider. So now it's just Alea at the front of the field that is yet to stop. Simon Levac has got in front of Phoenix Gray, but not cleared him from DRS yet. JK now only 2.4 off the leaders and is looking quick here on those medium tyres. How well can they last though? Can he make a challenge? Can he lay the challenge down? I say that, and Welsh Sponge has been dropped a little bit by Jake the Lad so far. So maybe the truce has ended and Jake the Lad wants to build that 3 second gap out to win himself the Grand Prix. Of course, JK does indeed have that 3 second penalty, so too Simon Levac and Cam McKenzie. And Alea trying to fend off there Jake the Lad as he heads to the pit. So there we go, almost everyone into the pits now. Welsh Sponge having a bit of getting a bit loose over turn 16 there, so it's not particularly looking good for Welsh Sponge at the moment, dropping away from those out in front. Alea will come out on track as he just gets a new front wing and a set of medium tyres, and will lose out a lot of time here, will Alea, but should be mighty quick on those brand new medium tyres. But will be coming out there. Through goes Wes H behind his teammate there. A good second, a second and a half or so. Movement Rider and Adams have now both cleared Daymare, while we are following what's happening up front. And so the two McLarens up to P8 and P9, 2.5 off Cam McKenzie, and I think that's probably going to be the best these two can do from here, which they'll be disappointed at considering the position they were in at the top of the race. Meanwhile, yellow flag, sector 3, that's for Ghost Delta. Meanwhile, the leaders come out of turn 13 onto the back straight. Jake the Lad now 2.2 clear of Welsh Sponge, 10 to go in the Chinese Grand Prix. There is the penalty count, and it's 3 for everyone with the exception of Ghost Delta, who is in last and lapped. So yes, indeed, 3 seconds of penalties for everyone that has a penalty count so far. Phoenix Grey, Simon Levac still very close to each other in the battle for P5. Phoenix just trying to limit the sway that Beaton can take back on the championship gap. Adams are now 1.7 off the back of Cam McKenzie. Damir still staying with the two McLarens at the moment in the Kick Sauber. Looking reasonably solid there in a solid points paying position. 5 seconds to the good of the two RBs. LA 2 seconds further back of Wes H at the moment. JK now inside 2 seconds of Welsh Sponge, who is now 2.5 off Jake the Lad. So yeah, as I say, Welsh Sponge just beginning to drop away a little bit. In fact, I think JK might get DRS here off the Ferrari of Ghost Delta, the lapped car. So JK could be absolutely flying down this straight here as he rounds turn 13. 1.6 behind. Let's have a look at the DRS. And it is indeed opening that Aston Martin, so it's played out an absolute treat there for JK, who's bringing Beaton along with him. Beaton only 1.4, 1.5 off the back of JK. Phoenix Grey still sitting behind Simon Levac at the moment. And now through turn 16 they come once more. Moomin Rider picks up a 3-second time penalty of his first of the day, as the two McLarens have now caught up to Cam McKenzie, and they've brought Damir along with him. So Cam dropping away in pace somewhat here, has been on those medium tyres longest of anyone around him. There you see 8 laps on them, done on them so far. As Adams has already made his way past Cam McKenzie, so there you go. That just shows how much Cam McKenzie is struggling on those medium tyres at the moment. And Moomin Rider sending it up the inside of turn 6. Oh, that's so close to contact. But it looks like now it's just a straight drag race. Moomin Rider going to dance around the outside. Cam McKenzie having none of it, sticking his guns straight back up the middle. Cam McKenzie holding on to P8 at the moment, letting Adams going to drive away from him for a little bit. It's Welsh Sponge now only 1.1 clear of JK, who's got Beaton less than a second behind. So Beaton now is looking in a really strong position here for at least a podium, considering that 2 of the 3 cars in front have a 3-second time penalty. It's JK 1.4 off the back of Welsh Sponge, as I say, bringing Beaton along on the route back to the podium paying positions. There are the leading 6 cars now, all on the main straight, as Phoenix Grey still sits behind Simon Levac. Damir's got in front of Moomin Rider. That is on the exit of the hairpin, as Adams has been able to drive away from this train. Adams now safely up to P7 by the looks of it. LA and Wes H still 4 seconds off that train, but Wes H has now been caught by LA. Ghost Delta has got in front of Danny Cool. That's because Danny Cool's had a spin down at turn 4. As Damir and Moomin Rider, we were just following the RB, see if anything was going there, but in fact it's a quick 3-car battle. Cam McKenzie's had an issue going through turn 4. Through goes Moomin Rider. Cam McKenzie going to try and hold off Damir. Can just about do that, but those medium tyres on that Merc are very second hand by now. They've seemingly gone off the cliff, and I wonder if in fact it might just be best for Cam McKenzie to head to the pits, get a new set on and try and chase that gap down on a new set of medium tyres, maybe even a set of softs. Meanwhile, Phoenix Grey still sitting behind Simon Levac. That's for P5. As they head up toward turn 14. Phoenix Grey trying to get past Simon Levac there with some scare tactics. Beaten comfortably inside the 1 second window of JK now, who's 1.1 off the back of Welsh Sponge. As they all head into turns 1, 2 and 3. Cam Mackenzie carrying on despite just losing the position there to Damir, so now he's in P10 and he's got the 2 RBs behind, and LA now with DRS going to get past WesH for P11, and now 3 seconds to find on Cam Mackenzie. N7 Racer into the pits as well. So I would suggest if you're Cam Mackenzie, get to the pits, get a new set of tyres on. Maybe try and chase down the RBs, but claim the fastest lap. Stop anyone else scoring the point at least. As N7 Racer goes on to a new set of mediums and away he goes. In the Alpine, JK losing time now on Welsh Sponge actually. Now that he's got Beaten so close for company. Beaten, the tyre whisperer, it has to be said, has been looking after those mediums a treat. And now with JK trying to break the toe, shouldn't really move anymore now, should JK. But through goes Beaten, and he's now up to P3. And now straight into the 1 second window of Welsh Sponge. And Beaten now looking to try and make his way up the field, to maybe even try and claim the win if he can stay inside the 3 second window of Jake the Lad, which at the moment it doesn't really look like Welsh Sponge is able to do, but JK able to dance back past Beaten there for P3. Phoenix Grey's got ahead of Simon Levac though, so Phoenix Grey now 3.5 off the back of his teammate in P5. LA as Cam Mackenzie now heads to the pits. As he listened to me, fastest lap at the moment, Cam, is a 34.0. If you are indeed listening, it's a set of softs for Cam Mackenzie, and onto the track and away he goes. He's got loads of space between himself and Shane Boland, but will have a job to do to chase down those in front. Would need them all to fight a little bit. As Welsh Sponge now just about 3 seconds off the lead, but JK now comfortably inside 3 second window of Welsh Sponge. I wonder if the leaders put their hards on a little too early. Have they hit the cliff as well? But they're only 10 laps old. We've got 7 laps to go here at the Chinese Grand Prix, and so many moving parts are coming into play at once here now. It feels like almost anyone in the top on this straight at the moment, the top 4 could win this race. As JK now with DRS on the back of Welsh Sponge. In the background you're seeing Phoenix Grey try and hold off Simon Levac for P5. JK's gaining. Can't gain enough on Welsh Sponge for a move up the inside into P2. Simon Levac at the end of that battle did get in front of Phoenix Grey. Adams sitting there in P7, 1.9 to the good of Moomin Ryder, who's got 2 seconds to Damir with 1.7 back to LA and WesH. Cam Mackenzie came out P12, 21 seconds off the front, and they've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, and that's for Simon Levac, I believe. No, might have just been for the other Ferrari of Ghost Delta, who has now picked up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pits. Phoenix Grey got back in front of Simon Levac. JK and Beaten both holding station for the moment on Welsh Sponge, who is now actively helping Jake the Lad at the moment. The 3-second penalty break clear by fighting this the way they are. We know Welsh Sponge can DRS train and DRS swap like the best of them, so this feels a little bit like Welsh Sponge trying to park the bus a bit and make sure that one of these and one of the two get the win as they head through 11, 12 and 13. In the background, Phoenix Grey, Simon Levac still battling on. LA and WesH have now caught Damir for P9. So here we go now, JK making the move on Welsh Sponge round the outside with the help of DRS. JK, Jonathan Corin up to P2. Simon Levac's got back in front of Phoenix Grey. In the background though, you see the battle for all the points. Damir versus Alay and Wes H, and it will be at least one RB getting past the kick Sauber. And here comes Wes H, gaining, not gaining enough to have a look for P10 and make it a double points finish for RB. JK now needs to try and run away from Welsh Sponge if he can, and hope that Jake the Lad picks up another 3-second time penalty. Damir able to get back in front of Alay into turn 1 for P9. Cam McKenzie does indeed go purple, 33.7 on that set of softs. He's 19.8 seconds off the back of Wes H, Damir and Alay. At the moment, JK now going to have to defend from Welsh Sponge and Beaton. Phoenix Grey, Simon Levax, those two still right next to each other. Damir, Alay, Wes H, I think they're the three battles in the top 10 that are really going on. They're only the real battles happening on track at the moment, and it's going to be Welsh Sponge versus JK and Beaton, and it's going to be 3 wide, and Beaton's going to get the double overtake into turn 14. JK's going to lose 2 positions. No, potentially not if he can get a good run. JK holds on to P3, so Beaton with a double overtake gets his turn in P2, and can he run away from JK and get inside 3-second window? Alalay's got back in front of Damir into turn 14. JK's having a look at Beaton up the inside at turns 1 and 2. He's now got the outside for 3. Beaton trying to send it back up the inside. That's forced JK out wide, and now it's just a pure question of traction, and JK being forced out wide put him on the racing line as he got the power down, and JK holding on to P2 there. After all of that, it was just the 2 behind that swapped positions. Phoenix Grey versus Simon Levac. The battle for P5 goes on. We've got 4 laps to go, and we don't know yet who's going to stand on the podium, who's going to be the closest to the podium, and who's going to be in the points. Alay now in front of Damir. Can Wes H do the same and follow his RB teammate through? Cam McKenzie now 18.6 off the RBs. I think just getting the strategy a little bit wrong there. That instant was not what Cam McKenzie needed just before he pitted on lap 11. Forced to pit maybe 4 or 5 laps too soon. It's once more down the back straight we come. JK's going defensive from Beaton and Welsh Sponge, but that's not going to help him. JK's is going to get overtaken by Beaton, who's going to try and go around the outside and use the traction just like JK did to him at turn 3. But no, JK holding on at the moment. Simon Levac got back in front of Phoenix Grey. As down the main straight, squabbling quintet come. Alay versus Damir is very much going on. Phoenix Grey's got back in front of Simon Levac for P5. Damir's got the outside line. There's a little bit of contact, and Damir goes straight on at turn 16. That's going to allow both RBs through. There was just a little bit of wheel banging. That just looked like the Alay and Damir met in the middle, and they've gone straight on. But Alay holds the position. Wes H, the big gainer there, gets up into P10 and stays pretty close to his teammate with not that long to go to try and hold on to P10 and the double points finish for RB. Meanwhile, up at the front, JK now 5 seconds off the lead. 3 seconds hanging over his head for a penalty count. So he is just holding off the 2 behind from having a crack at winning. He's not quite quick enough. Didn't quite have the pace to convert, catching Welsh Sponge into chasing down Jake the Lad. But Beaton, though, with the help of DRS, gaining. Welsh Sponge going to get almost crowded out of an overtake there. Beaton goes up the inside at turn 14. That was later on the brakes. But JK, again with the traction, so solid. We know he is. Mr. Opportunistic. He's also very, very gifted technically out of low speed corners. But Beaton though with the help of DRS, shaping a move up the inside. Can he get it done? This time about the 50th time of asking. They're 3 wide as well. Sponge tries to make it 3 wide going through turn 2. And now Beaton has got the traction on the outside of turn 3 that JK had. He had the help of the racing line, and now they're wheel to wheel through turn 5 down toward turn 6. This is where we saw Daniel Ricciardo make that fantastic move in 2018. Beaton, he's tried it, but JK again with the traction, able to hang on to P2 for dear life, like it's a life raft. The last life raft coming off the Titanic. JK holds on to P2 for the moment by his fingernails. We've got a lap and a half to go. Cam McKenzie picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pits to retire from the session. He's confident that no one's going to beat that 33.7 that sees him in with the fastest lap bonus. Daymir, as Alele had an issue, we cut to the end of it. Alele having an issue there through turn 8 and turn 9, loses 7 seconds of race time, 8 seconds of race time to Daymir and his teammate Wes H. And Alele back down to P11. Simon Levac, Phoenix Gray racing each other once more. And once more Simon Levac overtakes, but that won't last for too long. Meanwhile, Jake the Lad has started his final lap. JK is leading the trio for the podium onto the final lap. He's got Beaton and Welsh Sponge behind. JK's just doing this for pride. He can't win the podium because he's got that penalty over his hanging over his head, but he can win it for pride. And Beaton versus Welsh Sponge now. Welsh Sponge with the slightly better traction, but the older medium tyres. It's going to be a drag race up through turn 5. We saw this a lap ago, but that time Beaton was on the offensive. Welsh Sponge late on the brakes, sends it up the inside at the apex, and now it's a drag race out of the corner. And I think Welsh Sponge might just have the advantage, but Beaton will have the inside line at turn 7. High downforce track corner. Oh, there might have been a little bit of contact, but they all get away with it. And now it's Welsh Sponge's turn. Can he take on JK on the last straight for pride more than anything? Any other battles going on? No, it looks like the race is all but fizzled out, so it's just pretty much this one and Simon Levac versus Phoenix Gray. That's carrying on still as well, but JK around turn 13, he's got 0.6 of a second back to Welsh Sponge, who now has the DRS and the overspeed, and they're gaining. Beaton's gaining as well. JK's going to force Welsh Sponge to the outside line. Beaton's going to go to the far extreme on the inside of turn 14. They both get past JK. Now it's a traction race. JK, can he go for the old up and under? Jake the Lad has won the Grand Prix. Welsh Sponge will round the final corner. Now JK will pick up a second 3-second time penalty for 6 seconds. Welsh Sponge will just hold off Beaton. Phoenix Gray will hold off Simon Levac up to the line, who I believe pretty much tied, but they both were inside 3 seconds of JK. In fact, JK's fallen away somewhat penalty count. Has he picked up more penalties than I was aware? So I thought he had him in P2, but he's dropped down now to P10. Unless I've missed very many penalties, which we'll have a look at the race director, but I don't think I have. Because that would suggest that JK's had about 30 seconds of penalties added to his race. But there we go, that is the end of the Chinese Grand Prix. If I'm right, and I'm not imagining it, Wes H gets the in-game driver of the day. We will check the race director in a second, folks, because I'm mightily confused here. There is the podium celebrations. Well done, Jake the Lad, extending the gap out when he was able to run away from Smalley. Beaton, what a well-driven race to come home in P3. There is the final points tallies from the weekend. Beaton loses 5 points to Phoenix Gray, regardless of all that happened in the main race. Let's have a look. Race director. JK picks up a penalty on lap 5. And another one on the last lap, and then gets a 20-second corner cutting penalty for corner cutting and gaining an advantage. So that must have been on that last lap lunge into turn 16 where he came back up the inside. So there we go, high drama at the end of the race proper there. JK only coming home in a qualified P10. Regardless, he's going to get my driver of the day for being absolutely fantastic box office drama to watch. Jake the Lad, the race winner. Cam McKenzie claims the fastest lap. My driver of the day goes to Jonathan Corrin. Folks, I've been Sharp. Thank you so much for watching me, not just tonight, but at any point throughout the calendar year. I said at the top of the stream that this is indeed my last stream of the year. Before kind of the Christmas and the holiday break, the end of year break, which will see us out now of action in MSC F1 until the 7th of January, where I'll be back, MSC F1 Season 5 Round 8, the Belgian Grand Prix, at the same time, as always, 8 PM. But folks, as I say, at any point, thank you so much for watching through the calendar year to now, and I hope you all have a very nice festive period, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon in the new year. But for now, good night and goodbye.